Welcome home, winners. We hope you've been having an amazing spooky season. Hopefully, you're ahead of the game and you have your costumes picked out, you have your candy ready to go, the whole 9 yards. If you're not one heck of a procrastinator like myself, then you've probably done none of this, but that's okay. I'm Amanda. We have Dayvid here with us. Say hi, Dayvid.
Hey, everybody.
We have Rachel here with us. Say hi, Rachel.
Hi.
And we have a very special guest as usual. So this is the man with the paranormal plan. This is the only catchiest thing I could come up with. AJ of Ghost Vexers Paranormal.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Going pretty good. About yourself?
Wonderful.
Great. So I know there's a lot of listeners who probably haven't met you and have lots of different questions for you, and we'll get into that. But I just want to start. You delve, obviously, with the paranormal. So can you tell us a little bit about what led you into a career in this field and what kind of things you do?
Sure. What really got me into the investigating, because I didn't even know it was a thing until I had watched Ghost Adventures about, I guess, 10 years ago or something. And then all of a sudden I wanted to do it myself. So I reached out to some people to see if they just needed a camera guy or something, and reached out to a group in Pittsburgh, and I started with them and started at Madison Seminary, which was a nice start. And then I worked after that, it was just too far because I'm on the east coast of PA and they're on the west. So it was kind of difficult to get to.
Sure.
But then I went out to a convention in Nevada City and met Jade of Ghost Club. And then I was her cameraman for, I guess, 3 or 4 episodes like that. And then we stopped working together. She has a new partner out there, and it's just, that's a cross country trip. So that was rough. And
yeah, I bet.
So now I just, I'm going to be doing stuff on my own. I did probably 4 episodes that I have to edit. So those will be out hopefully soon. And yeah, so this, that they'll be my first solo episodes. So I'm looking forward to putting those out.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to watching them. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get into the spooky stuff, I do have a little ice-breaking game for us, and it's called Red Flag, Green Flag. We like to play it with our guests, and it's pretty basic, as you can probably extrapolate. I just want one thing from you that somebody would consider like a positive attribute or a positive thing, and then one thing about you that's a red flag or something that's not very great.
Okay.
And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be super deep, but just one thing in each category. We just like to get to know you.
Yeah. I guess like a positive trait, I would say I work hard. And when I'm really interested in something, I'm passionate about it. So it's always, I guess I'm kind of like a good time on adventures when I'm into it.
That's a great flag to have. I hate wet blankets on adventures.
Yeah. And like, I'll tell you if I don't want to do that, like, so I'm honest about it, but I will do stuff. And maybe that's a negative too, but, negative. I'm not like, other than doing stuff like that, I'm not like the big person to go out. So I'm like a homebody sort of. So maybe that's a negative because I'm never really interested in going out.
Oh gosh, how red is my flag? Oh my gosh. Welcome home, winners. We hope you've been having an amazing spooky season. Hopefully you're ahead of the game and you have your costumes picked out, you have your candy ready to go, the whole 9 yards. If you're not one heck of a procrastinator like myself, then you've probably done none of this, but that's okay. I'm Amanda. We have Dayvid here with us. Say hi, Dayvid.
Hey, everybody.
We have Rachel here with us. Say hi, Rachel.
Hi.
And we have a very special guest as usual. So this is the man with the paranormal plan. This is the only catchiest thing I could come up with. AJ of Ghost Vexers Paranormal.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Going pretty good. About yourself?
Wonderful.
Great. So I know there's a lot of listeners who probably haven't met you and have lots of different questions for you, and we'll get into that. But I just want to start. You delve obviously with the paranormal. So can you tell us a little bit about what led you into a career in this field and what kind of things you do?
Sure. What really got me into the investigating, because I didn't even know it was a thing until I had watched Ghost Adventures about, I guess, 10 years ago or something. And then all of a sudden I wanted to do it myself. So I reached out to some people to see if they just needed a camera guy or something, and reached out to a group in Pittsburgh, and I started with them and started at Madison Seminary, which was a nice start. And then I worked with, after that, it was just too far because I'm on the east coast of PA and they're on the west. So it was kind of difficult to get to.
Sure.
But then I went out to a convention in Nevada City and met Jade of Ghost Club. And then I was her cameraman for, I guess, 3 or 4 episodes like that. And then we stopped working together. She has a new partner out there, and it's just, that's a cross country trip. So that was rough. And
yeah, I bet.
So now I just, I'm going to be doing stuff on my own. I did probably 4 episodes that I have to edit. So those will be out hopefully soon. And yeah, so this, that they'll be my first solo episodes. So I'm looking forward to putting those out.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to watching them. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get into the spooky stuff, I do have a little ice-breaking game for us, and it's called Red Flag, Green Flag. We like to play it with our guests, and it's pretty basic, as you can probably extrapolate. I just want one thing from you that somebody would consider like a positive attribute or a positive thing, and then one thing about you that's a red flag or something that's not very great.
Okay.
And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be super deep, but just one thing in each category. We just like to get to know you.
Yeah. I guess like a positive trait, I would say I work hard. And when I'm really interested in something, I'm passionate about it. So it's always, I guess I'm kind of like a good time on adventures when I'm into it.
That's a great flag to have. I hate wet blankets on adventures.
Yeah. And like, I'll tell you if I don't want to do that, like, so I'm honest about it, but I will do stuff. And maybe that's a negative too, but, negative. I'm not like, other than doing stuff like that, I'm not like the big person to go out. So I'm like a homebody sort of. So maybe that's a negative because I'm never really interested in going out.
Oh gosh, how red is my flag? Oh my gosh.
I guess ever since the anxiety came, like crowds always kind of freak me out a little bit. But if I'm like at a sporting event or something where I'm really into it, then it's not a big deal. But if it's a crowd like I don't know about, like sometimes it gets me still.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, same.
And it sucked because I never had that before. And that's like that's where I changed the most, I think, for sure.
When did you notice that first? AJ, was it something that happened recent? Like, is it
the anxiety stuff?
Kind of thing?
No, It happened. It started, I think it was happening for a while, but I never noticed it until one time I was driving to work and just broke down and just like started crying for no reason at all. And I'm like, what is going on? It was like the weirdest feeling in the world. But yeah, that was definitely when I knew something was really going on. Jeez. But yeah, I mean, the meds and stuff, like I don't have like panic attacks anymore like I used to, and they're horrible. But yeah, sometimes I just get that, that upset stomach feeling where you're like, oh God, I don't feel like being here type of stuff. And I've learned how to control it a lot better. And I think there's just a ton of people that are going through the same stuff.
Yeah, absolutely right. And then you go hunt for ghosts.
Yeah, and that stuff doesn't bother me. Like I don't get scared, which is like I'll be scared of a group, but yeah, I don't really. There's been one time, and I'm pretty sure that at least some of you watched that Mackay Mansion episode that I did with Jade. That was the one time where I was, for no one particular reason in general, but I just had like an overwhelming like fear feeling there for like 20 minutes.
I haven't seen it, but now I'm going to see it.
Yeah.
For
We
sure.
talked about it a little bit when he was on the conversation cabin with us one time, and it was amazing. But I know a lot of our listeners are very familiar with Mackay Mansion and haven't heard this. So if you'd love to, we would love to hear the story.
Oh yeah, right now you want to hear it?
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were just setting up the Estes, and it had just started, and like all of a sudden I was just like standing there behind Jade, like kind of just letting it sink in because it was so dark in there, and I'm just like, Jade, I'm feeling terrified right now, and I have no idea why. Because like it's a beautiful room, it's a beautiful mansion, and you're just all of a sudden like this fear feeling came in, and it was probably like the whole. Because I think the Estes it was probably like a half an hour. I'm guessing she was under. So I'd say about the first 15 minutes, I was petrified for no reason at all. I just had that feeling of fear, and then it went away. That place is my favorite by far.
No kidding.
Yeah, that place is so haunted by so many different things. I mean, because I don't know if anybody else has been to Virginia City, but that entire town is just 99% ghosts and 1% humans. That place is so, and they just kind of go from location to location. Because when we were talking about the same spirits are seen at multiple spots in that city, so they're kind of moving around.
That's incredible. Now, can you, for those of us who haven't heard of Estes, can you walk us through what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you've seen a spirit box, which is the thing that that what you hear, the radio noise,
the radio frequencies really fast or something. Yeah,
exactly. And people are like, when you have it without the headphones on, you don't hear this stuff. And it's weird. I don't know why it happens, but when you put those headphones on and the blindfold on, you hear so much more. Like it is the weirdest thing, because you could have that spirit box just laying there with a speaker for hours and not hear a thing. But the second you put those headphones on, it just starts to, and you can tell right away. Like you can tell what's radio and what's not, because there's certain things that are said on that would never be allowed on radio. So it's not coming through the radio.
So it's catching EVPs?
Yeah,
or is it catching spoken word coming over the radio frequency? Or
well, I also think that if they can if they can take control of electronic devices like a lot of people think they are, I think that they can predict what's being said on radio and have that come through sometimes, because sometimes it'll sound like an announcer, but it's like answering the question. And you're just like, why did that particular segment of radio come through at that moment? And you're just like,
right.
Yeah, you're just like, that is just too crazy. But when you hear things cursing at you, you're like, they're not allowed to curse on the radio, and you're not picking up Sirius XM with these spirit boxes. So yeah, I'm like, that's, and you can really hear it because there is a difference, and it's in tone, and it's almost like when radio comes through, you can almost like, it's like you're skipping through radio stations and you can tell when a radio station comes on, but there's times where like the skipping stops, that static noise stops, and it's a sentence without another, and you're just like, that's nuts. Yeah.
That is creepy, man.
That is.
Where it's just silence with that voice back there. And you're just like, that is crazy. Because it's like 3 seconds, and that's 5 or 6 skips that it didn't skip through. And it's pretty, and they're getting more specific, so you can kind of filter out radio stations and just use the channels that are just complete static, which is pretty cool. I saw that on the new Spirit Box. You can do that.
Gotta try that.
Yeah, that it's expensive compared to the other ones, but it's my next gadget for sure, because you can kind of get specific, so people aren't like, "Oh, that was probably just radio."
Yeah.
And it really is so hard to defend your footage, because you have no idea what it is. So anybody could say it's fake and you could be right. I can't
Yeah.
say anything's 100% accurate, but there will always be those people that rip your stuff apart.
Yep, they're always there.
Do you have a piece of evidence that is like your favorite or your most liked piece that you've caught so far, whether it be in EVP or in photograph or any other format?
Yeah, that full-bodied apparition that I had got that's on my page, that's probably the coolest thing that I've gotten on camera. And there have been like that whole where we were at Nevada State Prison for that capture, and that place we were legitimately, and if you've ever been there, it's so far in the middle of nowhere, so you're not hearing cars, you're not getting car lights reflecting in windows. You're not hearing people outside. Like this place is like a highly protected. It's like almost like it's still an active prison. Like the walls are up and everything.
Oh, so you're talking about Nevada State Prison?
Yeah, and that's where I
cool.
captured that apparition, and we were hearing voices with our own ears that were picked up on the cameras, and we're like, "Yep, that's exactly what we heard that night." And it was double. We heard it, and it was on the camera, which is really rare. Either you hear it with your ears and it's not on the camera, or you don't hear it with your ears and it's on the camera. It's rarely both. And that place was just, and that there's a lot of malevolent stuff there. Like I felt like Mackay Mansion, it wasn't super bad, but that place has a lot of violent. And I think there's alien stuff there, whether I don't know what that is, but
Nevada.
We were hearing some weird electronic noises and stuff there and squeaks.
That's wild.
So did you see it with your own eyes? I mean, I know you caught it on camera, but did you see it?
I did not. I would have probably if I had seen that, because that, like in perspective, the camera kind of distorts that a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I was probably about 15 feet from that wall. And I think it looks like it's closer on the camera than I think it looks like maybe I'm like 5 feet away from it.
Ooh, yeah.
But I was further away from that wall than it looked. And like, people saying, oh, it was reflecting my light. And first of all, it's invisible light. So it's not reflecting off of anything. Like I can't see that light with my eyes. So the glass can't see it. And it was, there's no way, because I was walking straight and that thing went right. So like if my camera would have panned right, you may have had a point, but I never did that.
Damn.
I think it was full body. Like it's a legit capture. But you notice that stuff never gets on the news.
I want to see it with my own eyes.
Yeah, I know. I did see a shadow there that night that walked past my jail cell, but I did not see a white thing like that. I guess it had to be white.
That is so cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of darkness. There's like this, they call it the blob in the Nevada State Prison, where it's just this black mass ball that will float down corridors, and it literally will block out, like, those green laser grids that people use? Yeah. It blocked out those lights and just had like a green edge around it. She has a picture of it. It is incredible and huge.
So I just found it on Instagram and I'm watching it, and that is terrifying. I don't know how you were in there.
In the jail cell?
Yeah, the video that you have in Nevada State Prison.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was incredible. That was like my best capture. You kind of hope you get that stuff. I'll probably never get one again.
Yeah, don't say that, man. Don't say that. That's great.
It's so hard on camera.
Crazy.
Like getting shadows and stuff that's like the voices to me are the scariest thing, and I think that the shadows are the coolest thing.
That's cool, man. Damn.
Jeez, you could tell it's like a garment.
Yeah, right. It looks like it's in a white sheet, almost like the prototypical ghost that you'll see for Halloween.
No, that's really awesome. That's creepy. Everyone go check out your page. What's your page on Instagram?
Yeah, it's just like on the announcement. It's Vexers Paranormal.
And it's on his page.
And and I will have my because I just created that, and that top 5 I got for that clip really got me a lot of followers.
Yeah.
for I have like 2 1-minute videos up, and makes no sense.
Do you have a piece of ghost hunting equipment that is like your favorite out of all of them? If you could only bring one and do an investigation type of thing?
Yeah, I would say that I love doing the Estes method. So, that whole setup. So you have that piece of gear would probably be my go-to.
It's very cool.
And besides a camera, right?
Right. Yeah. That's
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, as long as the camera. Yeah, because I don't know why, but it's the most fun thing to watch for me.
Gosh.
When people do Estes stuff, that's my favorite stuff.
It's funny you mentioned Estes. Kevin, Kevin from Where the Weird Ones Are.
Mm-hmm.
It was in Florida. I think he left today, but last night he got together with 305 Paranormal. They did an investigation, and he did the Estes method.
Oh, awesome! I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to see that. Yeah.
And Jen from 305 Paranormal, they I guess they were working together. I think that also, who else was there? Like, I think it was Black Smoke, if I'm not mistaken, and War. So I can't remember their name exactly, but yeah, they they had a pretty good investigation going, and they had pictures of him doing the Estes, and I can't wait to see the video.
Yeah, that's cool.
That sounds really neat. I'm jelly.
Yeah, when people get to do that for the first time, it's a pretty intense moment because you really feel like there's things around you, and I can't wait to hear what he says about it.
Totally unrelated question, AJ. Have you seen that movie Talk to Me with the hand?
I do not think so.
Oh gosh, I was so excited to hear you do it.
To me.
So essentially, if there was a way that you could like talk to the dead, would you take an opportunity to do that? If it came with a risk, if you did it for too long, like if there was a time limit where you could only do it for so long, do you think you would do that? Like, be the kind of person to want to do that? I know it's hard to describe because you haven't seen.
So you're saying like I get to do it once, but never again.
No, you can do it as many times as you want, but each time you have a time limit.
And if you exceed that time limit, bad things happen.
Yeah, I think I could do that.
I would do it too.
Yeah, I think I would do. I would just have to be very vigilant on my time. Diligent on my time.
I would not. Rachel, would you? Because I know you saw this movie.
I would not, just because, I know what you're saying, AJ. You're like, oh, just be diligent. Because in the movie, they set a timer, and there's someone on standby to rip the thing from you. However, without trying to spoil it, something happened in this instance where the thing that was possessing the item made sure that didn't happen. All she did was go over by 2-3 seconds, and that's when everything went downhill.
Okay, so they're manipulating the time a little bit.
There's just a chance of grave bodily injury.
Oh, so you're under, or you're using headphones or something? Is that how it was working in the movie?
No, in the movie, basically there's a what looks like a hand. It's a dead hand.
Mm-hmm.
And when you grab it and you say, it's kind of like you get in the mirror and you say Bloody Mary 3 times. You say something, and then the next thing you know, you're in this world. Like you're able to
you have to say, talk to me, and then you can see them, and then you say, let me in, and they take over your body. So they essentially could do whatever they want with your body for that time limit. And as soon as you rip the hand off the person, this isn't spoiling anything, by the way. You'd find this out by watching the trailer probably. But
the trailer, right.
You rip the hand off and everything's fine as long as you're within that time limit. But if you go over, really bad stuff happens essentially, without going too much into detail. So I personally would not be the type of person to want to do that. I was very confused by everybody in the movie wanting to do it. Why would you want to do that?
Yeah, it sounds a little more dangerous than I originally thought. So that, I don't know about that.
Rachel never answered if she'd do it or not, I don't think.
She wouldn't. Rachel said she would not do it.
I would not do it.
No, because you have to trust other people to get you off of it in time, right? So you're trusting people. There you go.
Yeah, no, I would not. I love scary movies. So AJ, I'm just infatuated with all your stories about that stuff. But the thing is, I would not I don't even touch the Ouija boards when we go to like the bookstore. I'm very much like, don't touch it, don't look at it. I swear to God, if anybody brings that into the house, like I know, like the whole house is getting doused with holy water. Absolutely not. But I love watching like the shitty scary movies, the good scary movies, hearing people's encounters. But I do not want like to touch any scenario with like a temple.
I know what I'm getting Rachel for Christmas this year.
We have Ouija.
Absolutely nothing, going straight into the fire.
So you get you like an area rug that's like colored like a Ouija board.
No, absolutely not.
Just a huge one. Every time you walk over it, you're sending messages to the afterlife.
No, I'll have like bottles on bottles of standby of just like pure holy water.
Well, I'm glad you specified holy water. I was like, I don't know how alcohol is going to help you in this situation. The Holy Spirits. Oh, gosh. Well, thank you very much for telling us. Do you have any other like spooky stories that you want to share with us about your time ghost hunting?
Yeah. I mean, I got touched on my first investigation ever, which was that was no, that was only at the prison. That was only at the prison. I thought you remembered that.
I did not remember that detail.
Yeah, in a cell, I was inappropriately touched in there.
Oh, you know it was by a man then.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so that place was that was probably like the most anxiety place. I mean, when you're out in the middle of the desert in a prison, I mean, it is so dark in there. Like in that video, I crashed into the bars because I couldn't even see in front of my face. It was that dark. Yeah, like I crashed into that door, like almost breaking my camera. Like I couldn't see the door there.
So not to interrupt, but like, do your eyes not do that thing where your mind creates scary shit in the dark? Like you just don't have that happen to you?
I've seen things moving in that darkness that are darker than that darkness, which is unbelievable because you can't see your hand, but yet you're seeing something blacker than that black.
Wow, dude.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Like a shadow figure, maybe?
Yeah, and I mean, when I'm telling you blackness, that was probably the darkest location I've been in because you're just so far away from anything that has light, and it was so cold that night, so it was even freakier when you're freezing. But yeah, it was it's so dark in there that you literally can't see your hand in front of your face, and when you're hearing voices, it's just, and getting touched there, and you're just like, holy cow, this place is something different. That place, there's no doubt that you'll get evidence anytime you walk into that place. I can probably guarantee that. I could guarantee it because they like it, and there's so many personalities in there, and they're not good.
Super active, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not afraid of the dark, it's not scary. Like music makes it scarier. Like you can kind of edit it to make it scarier. But I mean, really, it's just you and your friends talking in the dark most of the night.
Yeah, but it's the thing that you can't see what's around you. And like, I have this issue. I don't know, maybe it's a me thing, but like, if I like shut off all the lights and just stare into the darkness, my brain will trick my eyes into like manufacturing scary shit. Like I'll see scary faces and stuff, and it's just my brain like trying to, I don't know what, scare the shit out of me in the dark. I don't know. But I saw something recently on TikTok that a lot of people have that. So I know it's not just me and I'm not like psycho. I mean, I still might be psycho, but not because of that. So I don't know. I don't know that I would do very well like in pitch black like that because I would just see scary shit. My brain would make me think that there's something scary there all the time. I wouldn't be able to chill.
Yeah, I think that if it was just you by yourself, then I could see that. But when you're with other people, it's not as scary because nothing's really going to kill you there. It's not like you're walking into a horror movie. Like the worst thing that can happen is that something will touch you. You know what I mean?
Or you get scratched, or
you could get scratched.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah,
that happens a lot. Apparently, you get scratched or hit. You don't want that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I got scratched coming back from Virginia City and in my house, which freaked me out. But nothing ever happened after that. It was almost I was at my kitchen table and my arm started burning, and I looked down and there's just a huge scratch on my arm, and I was just sitting there.
That happened at home?
Mm-hmm.
What, dude? So something came back with you think?
I think so, but I don't think it stayed because I haven't had anything, not even like a peep since. I think, yeah, it was, I'm not there anymore either. So that's a good thing.
Cool.
But yeah, that was, like I said, I mean, it's really hard to, I mean, anybody could have brought that onto a plane or something. It might not have been from a location I was at. Like, who knows where these things are coming from,
Good point.
But yeah, I mean, that's like the worst. I mean, really it's people that are afraid of the dark are the ones that struggle, I think, the most, because it is so dark.
Yeah, I feel like if I had a camera with night vision where I could at least see, I'd be okay. It's just if I didn't have anything and I can't see anything, that would scare me, I think.
Yeah. Yep. That's why the blindfold is so petrifying, because you literally can't see even if you could, and you're taking your sound away, your eyes, it's kind of like you almost feel like you're helpless in a way, and you're hoping that the people that you're with didn't just leave you in the room by yourself.
Oh yeah.
That's fun to do sometimes.
Oh God.
But yeah, that's like, it really is. It's the dark that I think gets you, because I'd say 95% of the time that I've been on these places, it's, you're just talking to yourself for 6 of the 8 hours that you're there, and you're hoping that you get an episode's worth of evidence. So you're hoping in that 6 hours you get 35 minutes.
Jeez.
So yeah, it's a lot of listening to footage and boring yourself to death, asking the same questions over and over and hoping that you hear something on the camera. But yeah, that's the hard part, is, getting that 35 minutes, and that's why you have to pay attention so much. But it's easy to miss, and that's what's good about having fans going, "Oh my God, I can't believe you didn't hear this," or
I was going to say, going over evidence must take forever, because you probably have to watch each piece like 8 times looking for anything.
Yeah, and you got to be careful. Like, that's why a lot of people miss stuff, because you're probably wearing headphones, and then your ears they get weak after a while. So like after a couple hours, you got to take a break and give your ears a rest. That's why you miss some of this stuff. But yeah, it is a long process, especially if you're using multiple cameras, because then you got to watch that amount of time 3 times. If you were there for 6 hours and used 3 cameras, that's 18 hours.
Oh, I see what you mean. God.
So if you do that 3 times, that's almost a work week just listening, and you haven't even edited yet. So that's why I've been trying to limit cameras, because it's very hard to make any type of content if you have that many cameras. Now, if you had like an editing crew like TV shows, then that's a different story. But when you're doing it yourself, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems very stressful, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, so like you stick with 1 or 2. That's like all you really need. Anything other than that, you better have an editor. That would be my suggestion, because more than anybody how time consuming editing.
Yeah, she does.
But I do enjoy it. It's just a lot of work. Yeah, I've had an audio background too, and doing audio is a lot harder.
Doing video would be hard too, because you have audio and video to look at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're doing it every day in school now, so I'm editing every day, and I'm liking it a lot more than I thought I was going to.
I'm glad you enjoy it. You're obviously very good at it, and I'm really excited to see what more stuff that you bring and your new catches, and you have a very exciting life.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try to. It's going to be harder now that it's getting cold, but I wanted to do a graveyard thing, but it's been like raining so much every weekend here. And I'm just like, I cannot never catch a break because just go there for a couple hours during the day, right after class, and just doing like a little graveyard place because money wise, it's just so tight to rent out a location right now.
Yeah.
But hopefully over the break, maybe I'll do Selma Mansion again on my own. I haven't done that place on my own yet, so that's a fun.
Ooh.
And super cheap.
Well, don't tell too many people, or everyone's gonna rent it out.
Well, all your Florida peeps are going there. I've seen that, like 305, and they've all gone to Samuela Mansion. I think all those Florida people have come up to go there.
Florida people.
Yeah.
Keeping my Florida people ass right here.
Well, it's weird because they have like a little community going on down there. It's getting pretty nice down there.
Well, I do appreciate that you are so willing to talk about it and to share us the stories of things that you've experienced. So thank you again so much, and for gracing us with your presence tonight to talk about this stuff, because I just think it's really fascinating. It's just really, it's so cool. And it's spooky season, so it's like the perfect time. It is
the perfect time. Yeah, I could talk about this stuff for hours.
Oh my gosh, same. I know. Well, we're going to have a trade-off, because I got a before the death happened, and then you can talk about the afterlife part of it.
Oh no, I'm looking forward to the story, to be honest with you.
It's a gruesome one. Before we get into that, we are going to take out some of our quick segments. So the first one being our question of the week. I'm going to have you guys answer this one first. So from our last episode, we asked, would you risk your life to save a stranger? Why or why not? So I just want to go around a little bit. AJ, starting with you, what's your answer to that?
Yes, I would.
That's a good answer.
I would.
Is it just because you're innately a good person, or?
Yeah, I feel like sometimes, like, I just feel like it's almost like the duty. You know, I don't. I think I would jump at that without even thinking. Like, the more I would think about it, I think the more I would lean to no. But I think, like, in this situation, I would definitely do it.
That's very honorable. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Dayvid?
Yes.
Are you saving a stranger if it risks your life?
I would, yes, definitely do that. The younger the person is, the more willing I'd definitely be able to jump in. The older the person is, I'm so sorry, you're on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the situation. Because, like, if you knew that the guy was not worth it, then that changes a lot.
Oh, yeah. Well, is it like context based? Like, let's say, are you any more eager to rescue someone that's in a vehicle that's on fire than you are to, like, maybe rescue a guy who's being attacked by a shark?
Ooh, the shark, I would probably say no.
That's context based.
Because I don't think that there's really anything positive I can do.
But if it's a younger person, if it's someone who has the rest of their life in front of them.
Well, if it was like my child or something, then without
your child, you
yeah,
have to.
Yeah, there's not even a thing.
If you said no to your child,
it's societally like frowned upon not to, but you don't have to.
It would be hard to save a stranger from a shark. It really would, because like my fear is the water. So just me going out there on my own is petrifying, let alone with a shark in the water. That's like
my fear would be the razor sharp teeth.
Yeah,
that would be a killer for me. I'm out.
Yeah, sharks are the reason I don't go in water. It's like
you should have
such a fear. I was a Jawsier kid, so you know that really scared me.
Oh yeah, that's a traumatizer. Well, R.I.P. to everybody who dies within their presence under certain stipulations, because they're going to take time to fully assess the risk before they jump in to help you.
So if you're with me, I'm going to think it through first.
They're going to whip out their pocket whiteboard and start jotting down some statistics and percentages.
Like, there's adults in the ocean getting eaten by a shark. I'm going to be like, hey, you knew going in that there was that chance. Yeah. I'm not helping you.
You're going to be yelled at from shore.
Yeah.
You knew about this. You knew this could happen.
You dumbass.
And you're bleeding out. You have some asshole calling you a dumbass.
Yeah. You should have known better.
What about you, Amanda?
Oh, gosh. I feel like I would not be the type to fully assess, because my point to all this is being like saving someone regardless of risk is like the ultimate form of getting involved with no negative consequences, because you're only going to be viewed favorably in that situation. So me having an act to want to get involved in every situation, I just feel like I would take advantage of there being a situation that I could be involved in, and I would just enter it without thinking of any consequences. And I would more than likely also be eaten by the shark out there. But I would definitely be like yelling at the person back on shore who is calling me a dumbass, telling them to stop before I drown. So yeah, I would definitely save a stranger. I would save a stranger for like any conditions for nothing. Like I saw a car accident happen in front of me once, and if there had not, luckily there was a cop literally at the intersection with me, and he saw it and like immediately blocked off traffic. But I was ready to get out of my car. I don't know what the fuck I was gonna do, but I was getting ready to get out of my car and run to the scene and go help somebody. And like they were fine.
Everybody that sounds like you. That totally sounds like you.
Yeah, I do have that problem. So those are great answers on your guys' behalf. You guys are definitely staying alive. I don't know that I'm the host for this show. I don't know that's the right choice. Sounds pretty much like I'm going to die. So we do have a few commenters who answered this question on Instagram. So our friend Frankie, a hiker, she is now Northern Siren on Instagram. So go follow her there. I think I would. My first reaction would be to help. She's such a sweetie. Then we have...
Yeah, she is.
Pinchy Diabla, who said, I would do everything I could to save a stranger. Luna Leaf, I know. Luna Leaf said, I would because I know I would automatically put myself in their shoes and I would hope somebody would help me in that situation. And I probably would have a tough time living with myself if I just let somebody die without at least trying to help.
Oh, my friend Wendy. She's awesome.
That is great. Our friends at Bad News Bears podcast said, if I am able to, I would do what I could, as long as me helping doesn't put me in mortal danger, of course. So again, you're going to let the victim bleed out while you're assessing risks. So it's okay. You're with the rest of us for the most part. Shona from Corona said, seems like nowadays no good deed goes unpunished. So I don't know if that means that you're letting them just be on their own. Like, well,
they're dying. They're dying.
Our friend Nisha over at Hot Garbage Show said, it's a no for me, dog. Freaking love her. And then we had our friends at Caffeinated Conspiracies podcast said, Omar on the show says, hell no, I'm too pretty to die. And for the other two hosts on the show being themselves and Glenn, they said, we would have some stupid superhero complex and have a fundamental need to help people. And then 9PK Promote said, at Reality Records, promote you. Sorry. You commented, so you wanted to comment on my post. I told you I was reading it. So anyway.
That's awesome.
So I really enjoy that. We're not going to have a question for this one because our next episode is our Halloween Spooktacular, and then our next after that is our survival episode. Survivor. Wow, it sounds like we're all about to like face sudden death on air. No, it's a Survivor episode, our second one something special. So we're going to skip our question of the week for this week, just so that you know. Yeah, we got Patreon starting too on Halloween. Don't forget, we got 3 tiers. Top tier gets you all the goodies from the Carnage Club and stuff. So come check us out over there. Nice. And then wanted to give some special shout outs. We got our friend Tommy over at Let's Get Freaky Podcast. Our friends Heather and Stacy and Frankie, who are all loyal listeners, a big guest on the show. We love you guys. And then just all of our podcasts and our friend here, AJ, for joining us today.
Yeah, my pleasure. I had a great time.
You had a great time. We barely started, my friend.
I know.
Hey, everyone. We're just going to take a short break and listen to a few words from our friends at Twisted and Uncorked podcast, but we'll be right back.
Hello, Twisted Humans. Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting? Then this is the podcast for you. In 1952, there was a record high of UFOs reported. 1,500 sightings.
There has been evidence of human sacrifice, devil worship, and it is haunted by more spirits than can be counted.
A family of 2 adults and 2 kids reportedly saw a giant flying thing with glowing red eyes.
And meanwhile, the family's nanny that helped Veronica to care for her and Lucian's children was found bludgeoned to death in the basement of their family home. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Sierra. And this is Twisted and Uncorked.
Somebody spanking their meat? What's happening?
I'm sorry.
No, that's my fidget.
Talking about ghosts really gets me going.
Sorry.
It's just my fidget toy.
Oh, it's you?
I stole it from work.
Oh, a fidget. Wait. Why do you have fidget toys at work? You work at a vet.
This is so stupid. Okay, so they hired someone instead of just like giving us all raises because that doesn't make any sense. They made a completely new position for everybody at work called a social worker position. She sits there and is supposed to be like our emotional support human and like be a mitigator between like clients and us. And we're supposed to be able to go to her if we have like emotional trauma to just like vent. And she just sits there and makes like arts and crafts to make like the place look prettier. And she gives us fidget toys. She'd be like, oh, so you can help yourself calm down. I didn't know we weren't supposed to take them home. And I did.
That's a job.
Yeah, that's what she gets paid to do. She comes in, gets paid to do, and just like she sits at the front desk, or she'll go into like the physical therapy ward and sit there and like make posters and make like colorful little things and signs about like how to take deep breaths when you're stressed out. Literally, that's all she does.
I want to get paid to tell people how to breathe.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So, and mind you, she's not even there during overnights. She's only there during day shift. So I was like, you do realize there's like a whole like half of a employee building that you're not even touching with this, but sure, that makes sense.
Wow. That blew my mind right there. That's well, good that you have a fidget spinner, but yeah, it sounds naughty when you do whatever you were doing with it.
It's clicky.
That is okay. I'm not going to ask any further questions. I feel like I've worn out my questions on the fidget thing. So I want to spew out some developments because I'm very proud of them. So I just want to give us our little 2 seconds of shine here. One Nothing Podcast made it to spot number 4 on Pakistan's true crime ratings recently. It was on there for like just over 9 hours, and then it fell off, and now we're off the charts. But we were on there for almost 2 whole days. We fell off at 134, so I don't know where their chart ends, but we were on there for a second. It was really exciting. We had our first episode that hit 500 downloads, episode 11, our Tim Treadwell episode. So thank you guys. You obviously love that. We love the bear stuff, which is great because we got a lot of bear stuff. So, and then we just recently on our last episode, we broke our fastest 100 downloads record. It was previously just under 95 hours, and for the last record break, it was 92 hours. So I was really impressed to break that by 3. And hopefully we can break it again for this episode. So tell all your friends and go download us.
Yes.
Yeah. And we are only a few episodes away from the end of season 1, which is crazy to me. Season 2 is going to be just as ridiculous. We have more guests, more gore, more survivors. I wish I had a rhyme for you, so I don't. Oh, gosh. Okay, AJ. Well, this is your first time in the One Nothing Time Machine, so I have to warn you, there are puddles of urine everywhere. You'll have to step over them. David's like a Labrador puppy in this thing. But
You're welcome.
We're going to hop in. We're going to go back in time, and we're going to talk about a tragedy. So, David.
Yes.
Can you pee before we get in?
Okay.
He won't. So, I don't know why that's a joke. I just thought of it one day, and it's like, let's just make that a thing where like you're not potty trained and you just spray urine throughout.
Funny thing, I'm not potty trained.
Very expensive electrical machine, one of a kind. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're going back to 1979. I know, not terribly long ago. Maybe you can hold it better now because we're only going like 40 something years back.
Good.
Yeah. But it's 1979, and we're focusing on one brand new baby boy, and he's brought into the world. Oh my God, I forgot our trigger. So sorry. This one's gory. I feel like every time I always forget. Yeah, just stop listening if you're not into gore. You should know by now. So we're focusing on a baby boy. It's 1979. He's just been brought into the world, crying and screaming, and he has 2 very excited, adoring parents who gift him the name Samuela Cirivakayawa, and I'm probably going to have to say it slow like that for the duration of the story because I'm going to mess it up at least once. He's fortunate enough to be born on the gorgeous island of Fiji. So for those of you who don't know, Fiji is situated snugly in the South Pacific Ocean, and it's about 1,300 miles northeast of New Zealand. It has tropical climates, swaying palm trees, lapping ocean waves. It's really hard to imagine why anyone wouldn't like it there. It's very pretty. Well, our guy Samuela grows up like many other Fiji natives, and at a pretty young age, he enters his schooling years, and it ignites a passion in him for teaching, and it was pretty indescribable. It pretty much took over his life. His passion builds during his time attending the Lilian Memorial School, and he graduates and continues his studies at the Lotoka Teachers College, still on the island. So once he graduates, he does like most other young men in Fiji, he looks to find a job. And Fiji has a pretty average economy compared to the United States, but there is still a large number of people who work in agricultural settings, and they're paid pennies. So Samuela is unfortunately not in one of the super, super wealthy parts of Fiji, but he has dedicated his life to not allowing that to be his life. So he's like striving for a future, a good future, like all of us. And he's determined to find a good job. He finally finds a job and begins a career working as a teacher at the school in the Navusi School District. And he's working his ass off. The pay just ain't there, though. It's not reflective of the work he's putting into it. But he is convinced. He's like, if I just keep at it and keep on pushing, I'll be rewarded. They'll pay me more. You know, life will be great. Everything will be fine. So he continues teaching, doing his thing. Good old Samuela. What a work ethic. Through circumstances that I couldn't really find details on, he eventually meets a woman and falls in love with her. She wasn't named in any of the articles I sourced, so we're going to call her Miscellaneous Fiji Wife, because I don't know enough about her to have any judgment apart. This is very one-sided, but Miscellaneous Fiji Wife, or MFW, and Samuela have a successful dating phase, and they eventually get married. I'm not sure what she's bringing to the household in terms of like finances and stuff, but Samuela is working like a dog, and he's still making very low pay. This does eventually start to manifest in the relationship, and the two naturally start bickering and arguing, and Samuela is just more down in the dumps now that his relationship is like kind of tumultuous, but he does not give up. He's like staying working, staying hustling, trying to provide for MFW, you know, listening to her going on and on and on, like, shut up lady, I'll put away the dishes later. I don't know if that's what they argued about, but just, you know, let your imagination run wild, I guess. Everything is going pretty consistently. He is in his late 30s at this time, and he's still teaching in Solana, which is a village on the main island coast. He's still making very low wages, and his wife and him are basically at each other's throats like 24 hours a day. And he's just trying to stay optimistic, but by this point, it's really hard. He's got a lot of shit going on, you know, lack of a better term. And he's just kind of meandering through day-to-day life, trying to make it to the next day. Like, can we all relate to that? But the years are passing him by. His youth is in his rear view, and he's getting more depressed about that and how his life hadn't really turned out like he had strived for so long to make it. But then life takes another tumble, and he gets some very devastating news, and he finds out that his beloved father passed. So understandably, he's trying to grieve that, but he's still got his burden of a job, and, you know, it's not like he could take a lot of time off to grieve, and his wife's not super compassionate, and she's still kind of bitchy and being just in general not a vibe. And Samuela just like reaches a breaking point of grief, and he's just done with it. He's like, this is too much, you know, and he needs a restart. He just needs to completely redo. And his father's passing is kind of like this really big reminder in his face that life is short, and you might pass away before you have the opportunity to do what makes you happy. And so he decides, like, you know what, I have this job that pays shit, a wife that couldn't give two fucks and probably isn't putting out anyway. I mean, I don't know, you know what I mean? But he's trying to just see, like, why the hell should I even stay in Fiji? You know, like, there's not much going right now. So his father had these last wishes to be buried in Australia. I'm not sure why, but that's where he was to be buried. And Samuela, he had to go there to handle some stuff with his father being buried anyhow. So he decides in that moment when he's like getting ready to go to Australia, he's like, you know what? I'm just going to pack up what I can and leave everything behind and start a new life in Australia, which, like, YOLO.
Yeah.
Do you have an accent yet? So sorry. But he heads there in the early months of 2019. He's about 40 years old when he creates his new life there, and he's all on his own. His students are devastated, by the way, because they really loved him. They called him affectionately Mr. Samu. But they're happy that he's, you know, starting a new life for himself, and that he has a chance to do something that makes him happy. Samuela lands in Australia, and immediately it's like a smile comes over on his face and it never leaves. And every photo he posts is like his version of smiling. He doesn't really do like the full grin type of smile. He's not like a full grin kind of guy, but he's like a twinkle in the eye kind of guy. You know what I mean? So every photo of him after Australia, he has that little like twinkle, or he seems happy. And the photos from before that, he's like $5 away from buying a bullet. Like, he's not happy looking. He's like very disappointed and depressed seeming. So it just really seemed that this move to Australia really changed his life for the better. And he's traveling more. He goes through parts of Sydney. He goes to the Opera House and starts taking some photos in front of that. And he goes to Sydney Harbor. So I'm actually going to take a second here and send you guys individually some photos. So bear with me one moment.
So he divorced his wife?
So I don't know that he divorced her or he just kind of left, but he just was like, bye, you're single now, I guess is how that conversation
went. Man. Do you.
Yeah, I mean, he wanted a different life. He was tired of that, so he bounced. I'm going to send you, they should be coming into you now, so I'm sending you a picture of him and his students in the school, which he looks mediocre happy, but he's with his students, who he loved anyway. I'm also sending you a picture before he moved, in which was taken back in 2015, and then a picture of him in front of what looks like the Sydney Opera House. And he looks much happier in the recent one. So if you guys could just look at those photos and tell me your thoughts, what your general view assessment of his facial expressions in them. I don't know. Does he look happier?
I can say that the dude does not look happy in the older pictures. And I can tell that's it looks like he took that picture there. It's a selfie I'm looking at. That man does not look happy.
He's not a grinner, David. Okay, this twinkle in his eye. Look at his twinkle.
But look at him. It's in front of the Sydney. Was it the Opera House or something?
Yeah.
And he looks like he is happy. There's a clear difference to me. I can see it.
Yeah, he looks very unhappy in that 2015 photo. And then with his students, he looks all right. Like, he doesn't look sad, but like he also doesn't look as happy as a teacher living his dream with a bunch of his students.
Poor dude.
Anybody else have any general thoughts about these images?
No, I just agree with David. Like, yeah, he looks not stressed in the one in front of the Opera House. The other one looks like he's like, oh my god, my bills. Oh my god, like there's this.
Yeah.
He just looks stressed. And there he just looks relieved. If I have to take an accurate word.
That comment about getting a bullet is so accurate on that 2015 picture, man.
He just looks really, really miserable. Like,
dude,
he definitely does.
I feel for the guy because I kind of resonate with that. Like, I moved from Ohio, came here, and I knew my parents, but that was it. Like, I didn't know anybody down here. I didn't bring anything that couldn't fit in my car in a teeny trailer, so it was very much like starting over for me. So I kind of get that, and I feel like I'm definitely happier here than I was there.
Good.
But I don't know. Have you guys ever done any kind of like life-changing thing that's like just turned your whole, like restarting your life kind of scenario?
Mm-hmm. Only I divorced my ex-wife.
Yeah, just flee from her and tell her bye, bitch.
I didn't do that. No.
Starting school at 50.
Wow. That's cool though, man.
That is
It's
cool.
never too late.
No, I'm having a blast.
Yeah, he looks like I said, he looks really happy. I relate a lot with that whole idea of reinventing yourself, and I know you guys have definitely can relate to that as well with what you mentioned. So it's really humbling to watch someone else kind of undergo that too, like to see his before and after photos. And we will have those on both the Discord server and on Instagram, so check those out. So our guy, Samuela, he's in Australia now. He's traveled a little bit with the money that he had, but now he's ready to find a job and like make a life for himself. So he finds one pretty easily, and he starts working for a company called the Arbor Tree Group. And they employed him as a tree lopper, which is kind of like a gardener type job in Australia. And it's basically they're like cutting down old trees, like placing new ones, manicuring city spaces, taking care of city lots, stuff like that. So he's pretty happy. He has a much better salary than what he was doing when he was teaching in Fiji. And he has this life where he's able to do well for himself and able to afford nice things and to travel. And he left his bitchy wife at home and all of his debt. So he's feeling really good. And he's really enjoying his new life. We're going to jump a few months after this. So we're going to go to September 7th of 2019. And it's just after 8 a.m. And Samuela is already up and at it at work, like little ethic we know he has. And he's working a sweat. He's got two of his colleagues with him, and they're handling this like lot of trees. And they're outside of the Cromhurst School in Lindfield, which is located in Sydney's North Shore region. And they're just across the street, kind of in the property, but they're feeding these branches into this wood chipper. And this colleague comes up and they're like, we're trying to take down part of this tree over here. And this asshole parked his Mercedes in the way. I don't know if it was from Mercedes. I'm just being exaggerating, but it's like it's in the way, and we don't know what to do. So they're like kind of talking about what to do, and the guy's like, we're just gonna go and see if we can find the owner of the car and see if he can move it and just see if he can get the F out of the freaking way. So the other coworkers are like, okay, well, let's all go. And, Samuela's like, no, like, we're not all going to halt production of what we're doing here to go find this fucking guy and this douchebag for the car. So just go find it or whatever. So the coworkers, they're going up to different people asking them if it's their car so they can move it out of the way. They're finding people nearby. And Samuela's just kind of chuckling to himself, laughing at how his coworkers are so irritated about it. And he's still grabbing tree limbs and feeding them into this wood chipper. And the next part that we're going to have to use our imaginations for just a little because we don't really know what happened. But all we can imagine is that the wood chipper was probably having a hard time pulverizing a large limb or maybe like a knotted branch or something. And Samuela, probably wanting to just get the machine back in order so he could continue working, might have maybe reached in to readjust the branch, or maybe lost his footing when he was trying to angle it a certain way. Or maybe it was just that the sawed-like teeth caught the edge of his hand and pulled him in. Little by little, first by the fingers, then the wrists, then his forearms, Samuela might have even shrieked if he had time to, but it happened so quickly we can't be sure. And sadly, nobody was standing guard to help Samuela. Nobody. And with his coworkers down the street searching for the owner of the car, nobody to shut off the large machine as it continued to pull him in head first. His screams were probably drowned out by the sounds of the enormous machine crunching and emulsifying his skin and bones. He was drawn into the in-feed hopper, and then his innards were essentially smeared against the internal disc drum of the huge machine.
Oh, my God.
Only a handful of minutes later, unsuccessful at finding the owner of the problem vehicle, Samuela's two coworkers return, and they're just like, kind of, where's Samuela? The machine's still running. Nobody is occupying it, though, and Samuela's nowhere to be found, which is very unusual. So one coworker does eventually notice a small amount of blood on the machine, and they shut it off immediately and call the authorities to report what they think might be Samuela's death. So police arrive. They're pretty quick to positively ascertain that, what had happened was Samuela was somehow caught and dragged into the wood chipper. But by about 8:30 a.m., they've got the entire scene roped off, and they begin a very thorough investigation about the incident because, why was he left alone to work with this huge, dangerous piece of equipment? So now I'm going to take a moment to send you guys some more photos.
While you're doing that, can I ask you, Amanda? Because I'm not, I'm kind of confused on the fact that he was putting his hand in maybe to grab something, and then it caught his fingers. At any point, could he, it's pulling him in, right?
So, I said, we don't really know what happened. That's just what is likely to have happened. So it could have caught him any number of ways. He could have fell in. This is just the way that I'm kind of presenting it for the story. But we don't really know how it caught him and pulled him in. We just know that he was left alone with it, and then it made quick work of him the second it had an opportunity to.
God. That is, oh my God. Now I'm thinking he just ran in there at first.
So sending you one more happy photo, and then I'm sending you guys crime scene photos, and it is one photo of the back of the wood chipper, which is not like a tiny little wood chipper. It's like a huge vehicle. It's like a dumpster truck almost. It's huge.
Oh my
and then
God, yeah.
A picture of the front of the vehicle, the police officers beside it talking, and then another picture of our guy with probably the closest thing to a smile that we'll see so far. And this is all, again, after the move. So, I know Rachel has a hard time sometimes taking herself on mute, but hopefully she received the photos. And
yes, I got them. I got the photos. That's crazy. Not to bring this back to scary movies, but I also just saw a scary movie very recently where somebody died in that exact same way.
In a wood chipper? Really?
Yeah. They were obviously.
Was it Final Destination?
No. It was one of the Resident Evil movies that just most recently came out, and obviously the situation was obviously very different. There's more possession versus we don't really know what happened to someone, but I personally have a pretty good idea, picture in my head of how it probably happened just because of that movie, because they went into gory detail how this person got sucked into a wood chipper too, and was very similar. It was feet first, but those things don't mess around.
Yeah, it was pretty sad to envision how quick this would have happened too, because you don't really have time. Like, you're caught and then you're being pulled in, and you have probably seconds with a machine that size.
Yeah.
So an organization called Safeway NSW, which I guess is New South Wales, which is an area there, I don't know, investigates the incident, and they find a couple interesting points of intrigue in this situation. So, namely the fact that the wood chipper that was being used improperly because of a lack of adequate training by Arbor Tree Group, which, surprise, surprise, how many of our work-related freak accidents have a common theme where the company is liable in some fashion for what happened?
Exactly.
So the report further released, but the report by Safeway details that the machine is actually designed to be fed with a mechanical log feeder, and it's never supposed to be used by hand. So a big difference that would have definitely spared Samuela his life had they had it. So had they had a mechanical log feeder, they wouldn't have needed to be feeding it by hand. And to make matters even worse, Safeway found that the company didn't even complete risk assessments despite several known defects with the wood chipper. So they gave him a giant... Why am I not
surprised?
Right?
Oh my God.
So they give him a giant paper shredder, give them no training, do no assessments to determine if their employees were even safe while using it. And then to top that off, they don't even give them the right tools to use it. And on top of that, it's defective. Like, what the actual hell? These companies don't give a shit about us.
Or do you have a chance?
So, to further prove this opinion of mine that companies don't care if we die, Arbor Tree Group gets dragged to court for their lack of safety standards and sheer neglect, if I'm being honest. But they're being faced with a $3 million AUD, which I'm not sure if Australian dollars, what that equates to in USD, but basically if they're given this deal that if they plead innocent and they're convicted, they're fined $3 million. But if they plead guilty, they'll knock 25% off of that total, and they'll only make them pay $2.05 million.
Oh my God.
So what is any company? Would you rather pay $3 million or $2 million? You're gonna pick $2 million hands down.
Of course.
So they snatch
That's
it up
what they
faster.
do, right?
Of course, whatever they can do to get out and back to making money. So they snatch up that deal faster than you can say two shakes, and they're ordered to pay the money. And to this day, even though it was that reduced amount, it is on record as being the largest single fine for a business in the entire state. So I don't know who that money went to. I didn't hear or see anything about his wife. I don't know if she made out with some money and got paid to bitch him out of Fiji, or I don't know. But couldn't find any information on if the money was just paid to the court or if it went to anyone, with his family. Judge Wendy Stratby, who overheard the testimony by both, provided the court hearing and they concluded. God, I can't misread that whole sentence. Sorry. Judge Wendy Stratby, who overheard the testimony by both, provided during the court hearing, concluded they failed to provide adequate information, training, or instructions to workers in relation to the safe operation of the chipper. She then went on to state that the company's culpability in Samuela's death was, quote, reasonably high. Would you guys agree?
Oh, absolutely.
A little fucked up.
A lot fucked up. Shit.
Yeah. Then we had one of his colleagues, Saula Watson Burrow, and they said he was a nice person who always smiled and was hardworking. He was very humble and funny, and we will miss him. And Samuela Cirivakayawa was laid to rest in Riverstone, Sydney, where he is today. Very sad, right?
That is a sad story. But you know what? I think he would have preferred this to the life he was living in Fiji.
I mean, preferred death?
Sounds weird. Yeah, sounds weird. I know it sounds weird, but the man was not happy where he was at. He was not happy. So, I mean, he at least found a sliver of happiness in Australia, and he was enjoying his life.
Mm-hmm.
At least he had that.
That's true. I don't know. That's just it's like every time that we do an episode where the company or where they die at work, it's the company always has some hand in it, every single time so far. We had 3 or 4 now where the company has had some kind of culpability and has either been owed to pay and hasn't, or has gotten away with not having to pay.
Yeah. And they'll find a way. This one paid, but they took the lesser route, but they had to pay. And I wonder now if there's any kind of, improved training process and working equipment if they're even in operation.
They love cutting corners, though.
Oh yeah, it's all
That's
about
what every
money,
company.
man.
Yep, it's all about money.
Just about money. Don't matter about you. We'll just get another person,
I know.
right? Doesn't matter. Not to them.
Nope.
Very
Matters
apparent.
to us, though. Matters to us,
does.
and we feel very bad for Samuela and all of his family, who probably will never hear this because they're likely all in either Fiji or Australia. But
I don't know. We have listeners in Australia, don't we, Amanda?
we do a good population of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of his family though, because I don't know. Maybe his dad had ties, and that's why he was buried in Australia. Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Hopefully next to his dad, at least.
We should go to Australia to see, just to look if he has family.
That's a fantastic idea.
Maybe other things while we're there. But.
Oh yeah. Have a show or two out there. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So the sources that I collected this information from for this episode was dailymail.uk, dreamanddemon.com, and then some of the best sources were the Fiji Exposed Facebook group. Got some really good stuff there. And then Samuela's own Facebook page, which is still active. It's not, he doesn't like post on it, obviously, but you can still find it. There's not much on it, but there's just a couple photos, mainly the ones that I sent you guys already. So we're going to play What Would You Do? So I'm going to have you both in two different perspectives. So you can either be Samuela as you're being dragged into the machine. You can tell me what you'd be doing, or what you would do if you're Samuela and your coworkers tell you they're about to leave and go hunt down the owner of a car. So you guys going to have any different approach to this situation than he did?
So I'm going to be very stingy and take both points because I don't know how this thing operated. But the first thing I would say is I would not let both those guys go look for the owner of the car. That's number one. I don't think any kind of operation with something like of this nature can just have one person with it. That's just a safe. You need to have that buddy system thing happening, and you don't need two guys to go look for somebody who owns a car. You just send one dude, and you have the other dude with you. That way, if something happens, the dude can help you out, right?
Yeah. I just wouldn't have worked while they were gone. Just so, yeah.
Exactly. That's another thing. Turn the machine off, right? The other thing, and I wanted to, this is what was messing with my mind, was that I don't know what, like, because you think about your average wood chipper here, it's got two, like, sets of teeth that are integrated going into each other. And if I were him, once it got caught, I would try to pull out. Like if it's grabbing your fingers, those things are gone, man. Pull yourself back if you can. Grab something and yank yourself back. So, at least you would just lose your fingers and not your entire life. But, you never know until you're in that moment what could happen or what you can do. So, but that's what I would try to do.
Yeah. Without panic. It's like, I can't even imagine what you're going through when you know that you're gone. Like, there's really, but yeah, I definitely would not have worked while they were gone, especially with something that dangerous. Cause even like wood jams in there and flies back. So you could get hurt that way too. So yeah, I would never have, that sucks that he did, but it's horrible. That's like probably one of the worst ways to go. At least it's fast, I guess, if you're going head first.
Can you imagine going feet first? Forget that. That's a horror show.
No. Yeah. Like feet first, I probably could have pulled out. Like I would have lost something. But when you're head first, you don't have much time. It's like when you're like, if you had a tie on and it got caught in there.
I thought of that too, about the tie.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, who knows how he was dressed.
I don't know why, but that was like my vision that I saw was somebody with a tie getting caught inside it.
Very tragic indeed, unfortunately. Now, I did send you guys some more photos of the ceremony that took place, like at his funeral, which I just thought was really sweet, and I wanted to share it because look at the size of his family. Like, this guy was loved by so many people.
Beautiful.
And just they're having a good time celebrating him, and I really like that. So
it's nice to look at a funeral and see smiles. That's nice. All the family smiling with his picture. That's really nice.
I know. Right.
Sometimes you forget how many people like you while you're alive.
Yeah, it seems like he had so many people there, but he just was like so focused on starting over because he just couldn't achieve what he wanted in Fiji. So he left everyone he knew behind to go have a better life. That speaks to me. That's so sweet.
Yeah, that's the hard part. You're leaving everybody you know. Like, I've never had to go through that yet.
Rachel's on her way back in, so I'm just giving her a minute so that she can answer. And all we got left is our joke of the day. This is a short one, but it's funny.
Yeah.
After this story, we need
Amanda always finds a way to bring us back from the break.
Well, it's a short joke, but it's hysterical. So
I can't stop thinking about going feet first. For some reason, I keep thinking about that. I'm like, no.
Oh,
you have more motivation not to get your genitals torn apart. I'm just saying, there's got to be a way out. That first would be the way to go. I would end it quick. Let the brain just get wrapped up, and that way, when the Johnson goes, you don't even know about it. So you're already dead.
Exactly. The Johnson already.
Oh man,
knew what was going on. He wasn't happy. It's like, this is my last day too.
The picture you sent, Amanda, with he's smiling in the way he smiles, and he's like pointing to something with his finger. That's just a great picture. He looks happy.
I know, he does look happy there.
I think he got what he was looking for when he got out there. Unfortunately, this happened to him, but he got that, that bite of life that everyone needs to experience, that freedom, and that there's the future looks bright and all that stuff, because when you're stuck in a marriage where it's just not working, nothing's going to work, and you've tried, it's like a constant dark cloud. It's not just over you, but it's all around you. You are encompassed in the dark cloud, and nothing lets sun through. And when you're able to break that and you start a new life, it's a beautiful thing. And no matter how long it lasts, it's just that's what life's about. That's what you need to reach, to get to that next step, that next level. And I think he got that, and I'm happy for him. Sad that it ended like it did, but he got to that place, and I'm glad.
Yeah, it seems like he did, which is actually, well, I guess I can just sub this in anyway, but when I named this episode, what I did, hold on, I'm trying to talk to Rachel and talk to you guys at the same time. Oh, no, she just responded. Okay. Okay. But when I said where happiness finds you, it's because that's like the Fiji slogan. It's like Fiji where happiness finds you. So I like that happiness finds you. That's where happiness was finding him in Fiji, but he went to find his happiness by leaving and going elsewhere. So he found happiness because happiness couldn't find him, which I just thought was really cool. I always like to put a little Easter egg in my episode names.
It must have been really hard for him to leave, You get stuck in a place and you just don't, you get comfortable. You get everything is very safe and secure, even though you're not very happy. It's what it's familiar. And then you break out and it's like, what the hell? The whole world opened up. It's just, it's an amazing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know that we're getting Rachel back. I think we might have lost her for the rest of this one. So I'm just we only got 2 more quick things to get through. So I'm just going to knock them out real quick. And then if she joins in, then we'll just have her answer at the end. So We're going to do our hint real quick for the next episode because we have a lot of hands involved in it. So we're doing a Halloween spooktacular. We have Kevin with Where the Weird Ones Are podcast. We have Vera with the Conversation Cabin. We have Stacy, a devout listener. Of course, we have David. And of course, we have Rachel. And we are all together and we're all sharing spooky stories. It's a great time. So definitely come check us out for our Halloween spooktacular. That's the only hint you get because, like I said, right after that, we're doing our Animal Attack Survivor episode. So it's going to be crazy and there's a lot going on, so we're gonna skip our segments for a little bit.
Right, and you're gonna want to see how we dressed up for sure. You definitely have to check it out.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna want to see our costumes. David has also been hard at work putting our episodes on YouTube with like lots of photos and fun videos to follow along. So it's definitely a new, refreshing way to hear our episodes, especially if you've already heard them. So definitely go check them out because it makes it feel brand new all over again. They're a lot of fun for me because David did them, so I get to watch his work, and it's really cool. But yeah, check us out over there as well. Our joke of the day. This one's a short one, but it was funny. So we always do a joke that's like, somewhere real relevant to the episode that we're doing. So I had to do a Fiji joke for this one. And this one said, this man had a big lead in the trivia competition. So there was this big competition going on at this local bar, and this man entered into it. And so he has like 20 questions, and he's firing them off. Every single one is right. And he gets to the very last one, and the guy asks over the megaphone, where do women have the curliest hair? So Fiji was the correct answer. So
oh my god, that's hilarious.
How was he the hell to know that they wanted the name of a country?
Oh my god.
That's our cute little joke of the day. I certainly had a good time today. AJ, from the top of the sky, my gratitude for you is so large. Thank you so much for coming on and for sharing your spooky stories with us. And I'm just enthralled in what you do, and I'm going to follow you like a hawk to watch all of the evidence that you capture the next time that you go out.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I appreciate it. I had a great time, and so awesome. Anytime you need
Yes, I love when people say that. That means good things.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I love doing these things, so anytime.
Right, yeah.
Tomorrow.
Oh, man. Well, do you have any parting words, David, before we